According to a Minnesota Public Radio report, 90% of the shrimp consumed by Americans comes from abroad, and agribusinesses are considering ways to produce shrimp domestically. A bill that would provide incentives for shrimp farming in Minnesota is moving through the Senate, and the bill's author, Senator Bill Weber, now joins me in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
How did the idea of growing shrimp in Minnesota come across your radar?
Well, I was first invited to a meeting in Gallatin, Minnesota by Loehrke, the parent company of True Shrimp. And Loehrke is a multi-generational, family-owned company, animal nutrition company in the area, in Gallatin, Marshall area. And they had acquired the rights for this raising system of shrimp, and it had been developed by a professor in Texas. And they had built a test facility at their headquarters. And a couple of years ago, I had my first meeting there and had a tour and an explanation of what they were actually trying to do.
And what would your bill do to increase the likelihood that shrimp farming would begin to happen in Minnesota?
Well, there's actually a production incentive there designed to produce so many cents per pound for shrimp raised. And I think it's important to remember, too, that the production incentive is not something that is given to them up front in hopes that they'll develop the shrimp industry. They actually have to be up, running, and have produced the shrimp before they would get any of that production incentive from the state of Minnesota. In addition, I have a couple of other bills sitting in tax committee that deal with some sales tax exemptions for the specialized equipment that is necessary, as well as changing the definitions so that the facility at the harbor, for example, where they would be raised, is actually qualified under aquaculture and thus agriculture for tax treatment.
Aquaculture would be sort of a new area in Minnesota?
No, there's actually existing legislation and definitions for aquaculture in Minnesota law already.
I guess I just haven't heard about it. Is this bill sort of geared towards your district, or could anyone, say, begin producing shrimp and take advantage of these tax incentives?
Anyone could take advantage of that. Now, the system obviously is fairly large, and actually the plans for True Shrimp itself really is designed not to just simply be southwest Minnesota, but to encompass a much larger area in Minnesota eventually. If the project continues to move forward and to be successful.
Now, I understand, in addition to the fact that the meat would then be produced domestically, I understand there's also some medical benefits possible?
That is correct. During the growing process, a shrimp is going to molt or shed its shell several times. Within the shell is a chemical called chitin, and from that they produce chitin, which has a medical application, particularly in stopping bleeding and also aiding in bone repair and healing. And so I think that that production has been limited with so many shrimp gathered out of the wild just due to a contamination issue. And in this scenario, the shrimp will be raised, obviously, under controlled circumstances, and they will be able to harvest those shells and use it in that process.
A University of Minnesota impact study found that the industry would have a $48 million impact in southwestern Minnesota. What kinds of jobs will be created?
Well, you're going to have a variety of jobs there. Initially, the construction itself of a harbor is going to be 9 acres under roof. And so you're looking at a $50 to $60 million investment just in terms of construction. But once the harbor is actually operating, you're looking at a staff of approximately 60 people. And so you'll have scientists, you'll have technicians, you'll have people that are doing more menial tasks of caring for the shrimp and that. But you also have a process whereby whereas you're bringing the water in, it has to be salt water, so there's a salination process that goes on. And there's also a recapture process whereby they aren't changing the total volume of that water every day or every week or anything. They're actually recapturing much of that water and reusing it within the process. And so they'll be able to utilize a lot of different people in that scenario. Also, it's important to remember that they really are designing this to be a Minnesota business. In other words, This will be a first attempt to actually, and they've already been researching and have the process down. They will be dealing with a Minnesota company as far as the feed supply, using corn, wheat, soybeans in order to produce the food for the shrimp. They are working with another Minnesota company to develop the specialized harvesting equipment and processing equipment that's needed. Right now, with many of the shrimp that are grown in open ponds in Southeast Asia and what have you, most of that work is all hand done, a lot of it by child labor. And actually, in order to allow for easier working with the shrimp to, separate the heads and do all this and that, they actually wind up leaving them lay out in the sun for a while so they age, which there's another word for that, but we won't get into that, and to make it easier to actually deal with the process. And so they're working with a Minnesota company to actually deal with the mechanical machine to actually do the processing of the shrimp.
Have they said how much they think the shrimp will cost? Will it be more expensive than the foreign produced shrimp?
No, they believe that they'll be right within the realms of the market, or even a little under what that market is.
Well, Senator Weber, this is fascinating, and I want to thank you for coming today.
Well, certainly glad to be here. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. They're looking at, I think, a unique business model, and it isn't just designed for them as a company, but it is really a design for communities to get involved and to have local investors and to actually keep this investment within Minnesota communities. And I think I appreciate their efforts, because I know that they are being sought after by neighboring states and actually other countries to bring that process over there and take it out of here entirely.
Well, we'll hope to keep it in Minnesota. Thanks a lot.
Very good. Thank you very much.